There's two stages to healthy eating. There's choosing only healthy foods with no additives and no preservatives. That's the extreme end of the equation. We're on the opposite end. We're looking to lose 100 pounds. You're looking to lose 100 pounds. And I'm looking to watch you lose 100 pounds. This is 3 weeks on the money. You've been on this diet. And week 1, you lost 6.5 pounds. You started at 354.6 starting weight. So you lost 6.5 pounds the first week, down to 348.1. The second week, you lost 2.4 pounds, down to 345.7. And neither of those weeks there was no exercise. And it was just diet. It was better diet. It wasn't a perfect diet. It was a better diet than you had been following. Considerably better, I would assume, given the fact that you lost that much weight. So the recommendations I gave you are doing wonders, loosely followed, with no exercise for week 1 and 2. Now, we talked about doing 1 day of exercise this past week because I figured that we could put a little bit of turbocharger on the results if we added some exercise in. So the last time that we talked, which was a week ago, we had agreed on 1 day of exercise. This is week 3. The results are here. They're in. I want to know how week 3 went, and we're going to deliver the news. Tell me about week 3.
Week 3 was more challenging. Circumstances outside of just the real world were more challenging, and that led to this being a more challenging week with the weight loss. So I was, if I compare it to my regular life, it was still a good week.
Mm-hmm.
Still thoughtful every day about what I was doing and more disciplined every day than what I would normally be doing. But when I compare it to the last 2 weeks, it was not the same level of discipline that I had been exercising the last 2 weeks. So, overall, I'm disappointed in the way this week went in comparison to the last 2. And I need to do better, but, I'm still looking at this as a long-term, just trying to do better every week. And if I'm making progress every week, that's still a positive. So, understanding that if there's progress every week, that's a win, and I'll take it that way. But, I'm hoping next week is a better week.
Well, I don't want to give you a false sense of security, but if progress is the goal, and last week you lost 2.4 pounds, the second week, and this past week, which would have been the third week, you lost 2.8 pounds, and you did worse on the diet this past week, than you did the week prior. So please don't take that. Please don't take those numbers, the fact that you lost 0.4 pounds more this week than you did last week, 2.8 versus 2.4, as a recommendation that you should continue to deviate further and further from the diet that we had put together.
I don't.
At week 1. So you're not going to move in the opposite direction now, are you? It's not.
No.
You're not getting motivated by the fact that you lost more weight this week than last week, despite following less of the rules than you did the week prior.
Not at all, because okay. I think what's on my mind that stuck with me from last week is, I remember that, and I was aiming for this, that the end of the week, if the last week was when I got weak, and I had more carbs than I needed to have, and that might have artificially inflated that number. And if anything, that number might have been higher than it needed to be. And I was really going in with the best of intention to really get stricter as the week went on. As we approached the weigh-in this week, and almost have almost no carbs on the day or two leading up to the weigh-in, and just wanted to see what that would look like, but it just wasn't possible, and that was a result of just an unpredictable work week. So I'm hoping things settle down a little bit next week that way, and hopefully I can get back more into a better pattern.
Give us some insight into the unpredictable work week. And I don't mean what necessarily made it unpredictable, but what did the unpredictability of the work week do to your diet? Because the way I understood it, you had been planning meals ahead of time, bringing them with you,
Yep.
Consuming them whenever you had planned, and uh, shopping and putting together meals at the beginning of the week, and then having meals ready when you would normally eat throughout the day. What about the schedule made that difficult, or was it the fact that the schedule and the unpredictability of your work schedule ended up bringing about a level of stress that pulled you away from consuming the diet that you had planned to consume going into the week?
Probably a combination of both. Um, there was unpredictability in the schedule where I had a couple of later days, nights that altered my meals and plans. And so, and like, just the schedule, like, I'm, I get hungry at a certain time later in the day and didn't have, a meal with me, then, and I'm not able to leave, then I'm stuck having junk. So I need to be better prepared with a lot more. I probably need to have, a larger supply of food on hand in the workplace to basically just cover me for multiple meals at a time, rather than just carrying a day's worth of, lunch type situation. I probably need to just pack and put, into the work refrigerator basically a week's worth of meals at a time. It's kind of where I'm thinking I need to go with.
I was going to ask you about the work refrigerator, because if you have a place to store your lunch meats, because we were talking about protein being so important, as
Yep.
that being the primary nutrient that you want to focus on. And when you do get hungry, if you can turn to the protein and load up on a significant amount of protein, that can quell your hunger while staying very consistent with the diet, because you're giving your body a nutrient that it's going to use for positive benefit. It's not going to be detrimental in any way, and it's going to extinguish your hunger, allowing you to get through the next few hours before your hunger hits again. So if you have that on hand and you're able to consume it because it's there, then there's no excuse to go elsewhere, to order out or to go out or go through a drive-through, other than having the desire to consume something other than protein because you're trying to uh, extinguish the stress with comfort food. That would be the only reason why you would go outside of the protein. So having that food on hand is of paramount importance, so that it's there and you can make the right choice. So at least when you're faced with that decision, I can go for the protein. I have the decision that I can make. Of course, you could consume nothing. You could just deal with the hunger, but it's a lot easier if you have something there to extinguish the hunger, that is consistent with the diet that you plan to follow to lose weight, which would be having a sufficient amount of protein on hand. So you can grab that, consume it quickly. You wouldn't have to prepare it. You don't have to cook it. It's ready to eat. You can just open it, eat it quickly, and then it'll quiet down the hunger, as opposed to not having that on hand and then you're faced with, was it the fact that I didn't have the protein there, or was it because I was under so much stress that I decided to make a bad decision when it comes to my next meal to try and counteract some of that stress with comfort? And you won't know exactly what the motivation is until you have that food on hand. So that way I have the ability to make the right choice, and I made the wrong choice. Then we can deal with that. Then we know exactly what's happening. We know it had nothing to do with you not being armed with enough food and the proper food. It had everything to do with you just wanting to deviate from the diet because you wanted to escape the stress that you were under. So having that, are you able to bring in enough protein so that way you won't run into that situation again and just have it in the refrigerator ready to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I need to just make that the weekly deal. And instead of doing it a daily plan, I need to have a weekly deal.
That's fantastic. Okay. That's good. That's what I want the experiment to be next week. I want that to be there. I want all that food to be on hand. I want it to be ready to go. I want it to be in that refrigerator so that way you can turn to that protein when you do get hungry, if you get busy and you're not able to eat one of your planned meals, whatever it is you had in mind. You can just grab that protein, quickly consume that, and know that that's going to help tremendously with hunger. And that should be able to get you through the rest of the time there, unless the motivation then becomes, I'm under so much stress that I need to deviate from the diet to try and counteract that. And we'll deal with that as it comes, but we need to first determine what happens when you have a sufficient amount of the right food available. So that's going to be the next big step. Can you, for next week, or will you be able to stock that refrigerator so that you have what you need there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. So this past week we had talked about 1 day of exercise. Because of your schedule, was that not possible, or did you squeeze that in, or how did that go?
It happened.
It did. Good.
Yep. I got 1 day in.
What day was that?
I did it on Sunday.
Sunday, like we had planned. Okay, good. And 2.8 pounds down with a less than stellar diet week, 1 day of exercise, uh, a total of 11.7 pounds down in 3 weeks. I consider that excellent. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. You started 6.5, 2.4, and 2.8. Those are the 3 weeks of progress, and you've done 1 day of exercise in 21 days, and lost 11.7 pounds. This week it was 1 day of exercise, lost 2.8 pounds with a relatively poor diet week compared to what you had strived for at the beginning. So that's pretty good. I mean, in fact, that's excellent. I'm not even going to say pretty good because that's really downplaying. And I don't want you, like I said, I don't want to prop you up too much because I do want you to hone in the diet as much as you can by having the food available, which you're going to do. You already said that that's part of your plan. But I look at those numbers and I'm very, very happy with the fact that despite the diet weakening this past week, and you got that 1 day of exercise in, which is fantastic, that you lost weight every single week. You haven't backtracked one bit. You've lost at minimum 2 pounds, always over 2 pounds every week, and total 11.7. How do you feel about that?
Anytime you compliment me, that means a lot. You don't give me compliments cheap. So
no, I don't. I don't. So, if you had told me what happened this week with the diet, and I saw negative 2.8, like you had gained 2.8 pounds, I think this conversation would be going in a different direction. But I can't beat you up too bad, even if you had, because this is a learning process. It's a week to week. You're developing new habits. This is not an automatic, I'm completely transforming the way that I live my life instantly, because that's a guaranteed failure. You're trying to ease into this. You're trying to decondition yourself from the former diet plan that you had been following. You're trying to do this on a regular basis so that it becomes part of your lifestyle. And so far, you're doing exactly that, because every week you've lost weight, a significant amount of weight. and you're being intentional, which is the word that you used in one of the last episodes. That's exactly what you're doing. You're saying, this is what I need to do. I'm planning this ahead of time. This is the way I'm going to eat. I'm going to do my best to eat this way. And next week, it's going to become even more intentional because you're going to have that refrigerator stacked with protein so that when you need that, you can get it at work, which is usually where you'd run into trouble. And you're not going to get into any mishaps at home in regards to that, because you'll have food available there. But at work, if you're not bringing it with you and it's not there, that's when the temptation will become very easy to deviate. So you'll take care of that next week. What about exercise? You did your one day. How did that feel? And how much did you do? Was it 30 minutes?
30 or maybe even 40. It was a long walk.
Good.
I'm not sure if it was as rigorous as you would necessarily prescribe, like if it was on a treadmill uphill or something like that. But it was, it was a fairly good pace. But I got to a sweat and stuff like that. It was on a warm day and everything like that. So it was good exercise for me and at my weight. And, I took the dog for a walk. So the dog was real happy. And it was, an extended walk. So it was 30 or a little bit more, maybe a minute.
Is it fair to say that it was more rigorous than no exercise?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So clearly the first 2 weeks there was no exercise whatsoever. So this past week, doing that one day of exercise, working up a sweat, that's fantastic. That's exactly what I had in mind. Is to do something you hadn't done before, introduce it, but do so gradually. So that way you don't overwhelm yourself and decide to just step away from it completely. So was that manageable when you did that? Did it feel like, all right, if I did this twice a week, am I pushing my luck?
No, I want results. So, yeah, I want to try that. Yeah.
Will you do twice a week this week?
Yeah.
What days do you think? I'm not going to hold you to this. I'm just trying to get some pre-planning in your head.
Yeah. This week I have a unique schedule with work, so I'll have some flexibility early in the week. So probably one day on the weekend and maybe like again on Monday.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. Saturday or Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's fantastic. If you could do 30 minutes minimum, if you get 40, that's great. Anything's a bonus above 30 I'm all for it. Like you can go longer if you want, but 30 is what you should aim for. If you can hit 30 twice, that would be great. That would be excellent. I would be very happy with that. You'd be doubling pretty much what you did the week prior. So that would be that. The combination of that, of doing 2 exercise sessions in addition to having the protein on hand, so that this is a tighter diet week than it was this past week, could do wonders. So if you have that protein plan to bring that and stock the refrigerator, get all that ready, and then the day, if you can, one of those days, and you said this is a unique type of week for you at work, maybe you'll be able to make one of those days a strict day. Like, I don't know which day, it doesn't matter which day, it's whatever day works for you. But what I mean by a strict day is a day where you keep the carbs really low and you focus on protein and fat and just nail the diet to perfection for one day, where you're looser the rest of the week.
Yeah, I think that.
How does that sound?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a reasonable ask. My mind was there. I was fixated on getting that done, the day before the weigh-in, at least, if not 2 days before the weigh-in. just as an experiment to see how much that would give me a psychological boost and to see what a number change that would give me. And from experience that the mind plays tricks on me, man, and I need to see that number. So yeah, I mean, I was really eager to see what I could accomplish with real strictness at the end of a weight week or whatever, and I just didn't get to execute that the way I wanted to. So I'm eager to do that, and I think I have, with this experience this week and talking to you, I think I have a better handle on how I can prepare to put that into execution this week.
Yeah, you think about it. If you have that protein on hand in the refrigerator, you pick that day. If it's Thursday, if it's the day before the weigh-in, because you want as much of an advantage as possible before you step on the scale, you can take that day and just whatever's in that refrigerator when it comes to protein, you can focus on that and add in some fat through nuts or whatever you want to complement that with. That's low carb, and just that will be your Thursday.
Yep.
That will be, because the food will be there. It'll be ready to go. You have no excuse to go elsewhere, regardless how busy the day gets. You can still grab that food out of the refrigerator and eat it, because it only takes the beauty about using like lunch meats and prepared meats is that you can eat that fast. If work's busy, you can literally, it's like a bathroom break. You're literally going in, and in a couple minutes you're done. It's might be faster than a bathroom break, to be honest. That you just be able to take care of that so quickly that no one will even know you're gone. So it's very easy to do when it's there. So you're gonna prepare for that ahead of time, and it'll be a great experiment. I'm excited about this week for that reason. The combination of the 2 days of exercise, as well as having that protein on hand, having a stricter diet as a result of the protein being available, and then having that one day of, which is probably going to be Thursday for you, where you're just on point with low carb and high protein and moderate fat, in order to be able to maximize your results for the week. So yeah, I think that's good. I think that would be a good, you follow that the plan that we just outlined, you follow that to the T. It could be, you could be very happy at the end of next week. So I think it's I think that's a good direction to go. And it seems like you're pretty confident that you'll be able to follow through with that.
All of that seems realistic. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Is there anything else that's come up during the week other than the fact that you didn't have the food on hand that you want to discuss in relation to the diet?
I guess, I know that I'm probably just going to eventually get to a point, and, that, I'll just plant the seed maybe. And if you have suggestions now, that's fine. If not, this may be for another time, but, I'll get to a point, I'm sure, where I'll want more variety in thought of like different ideas for the, portable protein and fats. Right now I'm satisfied with the variety I've got. I've been using for meat, I've been pretty consistently using deli slices of like chicken breast most of the time. Occasionally some other lunch meats, but mostly chicken breast has been what I've been sticking with. And then but I like breakfast meats a lot of the time, so I may mix that in sometimes just for variety. And I'm wondering if that's okay. Yeah, on your end.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not, there's two stages to healthy eating, and there's choosing only healthy foods with no additives and no preservatives, and so that's the extreme end of the equation. We're on the opposite end. We're looking to lose 100 pounds. You're looking to lose 100 pounds. And I'm looking to watch you lose 100 pounds. And so that to me is, for you, is the primary goal. I don't care what you consume in order to get that 100 pounds lost. I'm not in the camp where well, you got to avoid all these foods and you got to eat these types of foods because they're the healthiest in order to lose 100 pounds. I know if I make you eat that way, you're probably going to end up gaining 100 pounds because you're going to go right back to what you were doing and then some. So I cannot do that with you. I'm fully aware of the fact that the primary objective that's going to get you in the best health possible is to get rid of 100 pounds of fat. That's our goal. So I'm open to doing it in the most enjoyable way possible for you.
Bless you.
Which I know you love to hear. Yes.
I do.
I know it's music to your ears.
It really is.
And so when you're introducing these foods, as long as the carbs are low, it doesn't bother me at all because it's getting you to that finish line. It's getting rid of the body fat, which right now is the biggest detriment to your health. We get rid of the body fat and your life expectancy is going to go up 20 years plus, maybe 30 years. I mean, that's a fact. So we need to focus on that. So I'm totally open to you finding snacks online that are low carb, whatever it takes for you to be able to keep the carbs low, to keep the protein high, and moderate fat in the diet. You know, fat's going to be used to control your hunger outside of the protein. So if you get enough protein in, you're getting 50, 60 grams in a meal protein, then the rest of it's going to come through fat sources, which whatever that you want to consume as long as it's low carb. So the breakfast meats are fine. No problem at all. You can make bacon and consume that, but obviously it requires making it. So
right.
So there's a process that I know because of your busy schedule that you want as much convenience as you can possibly get. There's a ton of food out there because there's a lot of people that are following low carb diets and have been following them for many, many years, ever since the Atkins diet decades ago. There's just foods that popped up to try and allow people the opportunity to keep carbs low in a convenient fashion. So if you go online, you can find probably an endless amounts of them by just Googling low carb snacks and just seeing what's available. Low carb, high protein snacks, even better. So you can get some protein in while you're consuming it. But even if you're getting the protein through something like the meats and you just want a snack that you can consume on that's low carb, you can look for the low carb snacks. So I'm open to all of that for you in order to make this as painless as possible, because the whole idea is we want to realistically get you down to below 250 pounds. And realistic means that you should have the latitude to make the diet interesting for you. And interesting for you might be different than interesting for anybody else. You have to decide what those foods are, knowing that going in, that the goal is I'm going to consume the lowest carb possible food that I can find that I like in order to be able to lose weight as quickly as possible. Because the lower you're able to keep carbs, the more you're going to control insulin, and the more your body is just going to use that stored fat for energy every single day. And that's going to ramp up the speed of results, which is the goal.
That sounds wonderful. Bless you.
So I'm totally open. I'm totally open with you introducing foods into the diet that meet that criteria, and asking me if you have any questions about anything in particular. You can ask when we meet. But I think that when you just as you had mentioned, the breakfast meats are perfectly fine because they're going to be high in fat, they're going to be high in protein, they're going to be low in carbs. A lot of people following low carb plans that are looking for that added flavor use those types of meats in order to provide themselves with protein. And obviously, if you consumed meats like that throughout the day, I mean, the fat content's going to be high. So if you were consuming all of your meal, and you'd still lose weight because still you're keeping carbs low. So even if all of your meals were a high fat, high protein meat, that you would still achieve excellent results. But for portability, I think bringing some of the lower fat meats with you just to be able to consume them at work or just on the run, just something that you can consume really quick, that's portable, you can use those. And when you have more time to prepare something, or if you find something that fits a criteria of a meat that you really enjoy, that you want to use as part of the plan that's high protein and high fat, go for it.
This is really good. That opens up a lot of doors. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I want all those doors to be explored. Okay. Not at the same time. We'll take them one at a time, please.
Okay.
You could try to gain the most satisfaction out of everything you introduce. You know what I mean? As opposed to just diving in head first and trying everything all at once. Try to slowly introduce these foods to make it exciting. Like you got something new, get something out of that, then add something else. Just slowly start to entertain yourself with these foods. And before you know it, I think that you'll have a list of foods that you love, that you really do enjoy, that you authentically would want to eat on a regular basis, even if you weren't on a diet, that you can use as part of this diet to get to the finish line a lot easier and a lot quicker than you thought possible.
That sounds amazing. I think I'm actually believing this might be right. This might actually happen.
I like your partial confidence in the fact that this is going to be a huge success. I'll go for it. I'll take it. Whatever I can get out of you. If I get a big smile and I get the evil grin, I like to call it.
Yeah.
Like you're ready to explore some options that you thought that I may not be approving of. And then suddenly I give you the green light and then things transform within your mind. Like maybe I'll actually be able to go places I never thought possible. This is good. This is very good. So the plan sounds great for next week. And you do stock up that refrigerator, get the 2 days of cardio, and get that strict probably Thursday day where you're just on the level with the diet 100%. And let's see what happens next week.
I'm ready to roll. You got me fired up, man.
I know.
Got me fired up.
I like that look. I like the look on your face, man. I like it when you're excited. To get excited about weight loss means I must be doing something right.
You are, dude. You are. There's nobody else.
Excited, especially.
I'm serious. There's nobody else that can do what you're doing with me.
Well, listen, man, I want to congratulate. I just want you to know how proud I am of you. 3 weeks of weight loss, 11.7 pounds down, 342.9. Next week, bro, if you do this, I'm calling the 330s. If you could do this, dude.
Wow.
I'm calling it. I think if we do what we just talked about, I think we can get to the 330s, which would be up. Every decade is going to just bring a huge smile to, I know, my face and yours as well.
Me too,
because it means that we're getting there. And it's going to feel so good to be out of the 340s forever. And it could happen this 1 week from now. I'm just looking at those numbers. And I think that tightening things up the way that we've discussed, I think it could happen on our next meeting. I do 1 week from today. So I think maybe keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as a goal, so you can strive. You have to lose 3 pounds. You got to beat the last 2 weeks of weight loss. I mean, you almost got 2.8 this past week, so it's almost 3. So you got to lose 3 pounds to be under 340. And quite honestly, considering what you described last week, you did 1 day of exercise and the diet was very loose, tightening things up and doing what we discussed. I think it's definitely possible. I mean, it's just, we're looking at the numbers and it's that you definitely can do it. So let's strive for that.
That would be amazing.
All right.
That would be absolutely amazing.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you next week.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good job, my man.
Thank you.
You were supposed to be here shortly after 4. It's almost 6 o'clock. Please tell me you didn't just return from the Bob's Big Boy buffet.
I thought about it.
There's no one else in the entire world that I would wait around for almost 2 hours, dude. I was falling asleep on this chair, dude. I was almost out. I have to forgive you because you're at work. But I'm still worried about that buffet thing, man. Are you sure?
would it